This is Messiah Hill, and this is the scooter backflip. Oh, yeah! Woo!
Wait, Dad, do we have a podcast tonight?
Oh, yes. See, I'm gonna be late.
Here, you're gonna need this.
Thank you.
Hurry up.
Oh, yes, we are here, folks. What is happening? We got Fred van Schie on the show, folks. He is the marketing manager for Etnies. Welcome, Fred. Welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, Mark? How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, heck yeah. Good to see you, my brother. In the audience, giving some shout outs. Trail Monster with the whole shot tonight. What's up, Trail Monster? We see you. What's up? What's up? He says, what's up, Mark and Fred? We got MTB Raging. Is Joey screwing things up again? Craig. Hey, congratulations on the brand new Izzo coming to you. Spokesman up there in Northern California says, hey, everyone, I have guests at the house right now, so I can't watch, but maybe I'll catch up tomorrow. Have a great evening. Steve, thank you for always popping on, brother. Play this in the background. You never know. People might just join in. Uncaged MTB says, what's up, Craig? I'm pushing the buttons. Yes, we have our podcast engineer back there pushing buttons for us, which is great. So, folks, if you don't know who Fred is, Fred, can you give the folks a little bit of a background as to what you do in the MTB community?
Yeah, my name is Fred van Schie. I'm 44 years old, Dutch by birth. Been living in California since 2007, and I've been working for Etnies since the beginning of 2022. So a little over 10 months now. It's actually my fourth time with the company in 20 years. So not new to the brand, but definitely new in his role, helping out with all the marketing. And on the MTB side of things, I've also been on the board of the Right MTB Day, along with Jeff Taylor and some other industry heavyweights, where he asked me to be on the board. And that's been like 3 years, I think, or so. So yeah, that's been really fun. So at first I come out of skateboarding, like a lot of us, I think. And at first I really enjoyed just going on a ride and not being able to care about what people ride or what's on their feet or whatever. But obviously now in this world, it has changed a little bit, but it's all good. Yeah. So I've been attending a lot of MTB events the last 6 months, especially with a booth with Etnies showing our shoes off. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. So.
Yeah, that's great, man. I actually met Fred, for the folks that are watching right now and listening in on the podcast. I met Fred at Bike Fest at Sky Park. I had forgotten my MTB shoes at the hotel, and I had my Jordans on. And I was like, well, I'm just going to ride in these Jordans. And luckily for me, Scotty at Versus Tires introduced me to Fred. And Fred was like, dude, try these. And you handed me a pair of Culverts, and they had these Michelin tacky soles on the bottom. And dude, I had so much fun riding with my decoy with those shoes all day. They were dope. And I think is that Michelin line like a whole brand new thing for Etnies, or is that something they've been doing for a while?
Yeah, so just a little bit of like background there. Like the brand has been around since 1986, so we've been making shoes for 36 years.
Dang.
So we've been in that game for like a long time. Brendan Semenuk approached us in 2013, 14 to just be on flow. He came off a shoe deal and just found one of our shoes, one of our like skate shoes. So he basically wrote those, and he was just kind of on flow for a while. And then about 4 years ago, like 2018, we launched like a whole like MTB line. And on the skate side, we've been using the Michelin outsole since like 2013.
Wow.
So that's already been like, proven to work there. Brennan's shoe does not have the Michelin. His sole is a little bit more flexible, and he has a other brand that sponsors like race car at race car stuff. So
Uh-huh.
we don't use it on like his shoe, but on pretty much all the other MTB shoes we use it. And yeah, people obviously seem to really like it. It's super sticky, super durable, and yeah, it works. So
That's crazy. Yeah, Joey just pulled them up right here. Here are the culverts that we're talking about, and there is the Michelin soles on the bottom. And when we talk Michelin, we're actually talking about the tire company Michelin.
yeah, correct. Yeah.
Holy crap! Okay, cool, man. I had no clue. And if you guys want to see the ones that I'm rocking right now, Joey, if you pan over to those yellowish ones right there, they got the green laces which match my decoy, which are awesome, super fun. Right there, they got the orange hit right on there, just like the decoy has. So Fred eyed up the decoy, was like, "Here, try these out." And dude, I matched that day. I felt like such a
Yeah.
pro.
Yeah. Another like fun fact, uh, we are still owned by like the same guy who started the brand in 1986. He's actually French, and obviously Michelin is also French. So there's a little bit of that link there as well. You know.
Interesting, interesting. Speaking of from skate to mountain bike, the Outsider MTB,
Yeah.
Mr. Tony De Silva is on. He says, "I worked there for a long time."
What's up,
Yeah,
Tony?
yeah. Was Tony like Tony? Remind me, were you like a team manager there for Etnies for the skate team? I believe. I think maybe he had something else that he did, but
Doing social. I think he definitely. I believe he was there at the start of like the line of like the MTB line. He did a bunch of marketing. I know he went out to Rebel Rampage at least once. So
nice.
him and I've been in
Wow.
touch for a couple of years here and there. We haven't been on like a bike ride because he doesn't like to get up early. But one
Yeah,
day,
I know.
Tony,
We
one day.
gotta get him when the birds first sing. That's right. I always tease him too. The Tony likes to go brunch time. Brunch time is the best time. There we go. He says Emerica marketing manager. That was Tony. Emerica marketing manager. Jeez Louise. So Emerica marketing manager and Etnies digital media. So he had a little bit of everything. So when he says Emerica for the folk, and I just learned this, Emerica and Etnies is under the same umbrella, correct?
Correct. Yeah, and we have a S as well, and then like the 32 brand, which makes boots for in the snow.
Dang. MTB Reggie says Tony does not ride early. Yes, yes, definitely. We all know that. Rich on two wheels from the manager out there for Dianese, the Italian company, says, "Yo, he's in the audience. What's up, Rich? Good to see you, brother." I also saw Jeff's channel up there. Got the whole fam bam watching. Jeffro, Ava, Marley, and PJ in the house. What's up, guys? Thank you for popping on. Feel free to ask Fred some questions as we go through this, but basically, Fred, when it came from skate to mountain bike, were you always kind of dabbling in both, or did you move from one to the other?
No, obviously, since I'm Dutch, I've been on a bike since I was, probably like 2 or 3 years old. So just how you get around, especially as a
Dang,
kid. I
dang.
definitely rode a lot of BMX bikes. I lived in a really small town, like 200 people, but we lived like 45 minutes from like a town, like a city, and that's where I moved when I was like 16. I saw Pennywise on MTV with Same Old
Woo!
Story, and there was a guy like just bombing down a hill on like a skateboard, and I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. And one of my friends had a skateboard, so I went up to him, and he just gave me his like kind of like a hand me down, and then it completely flipped the switch. Like I was just hooked. I was like 16, standing in front of his house in the rain, trying to learn how to ollie. Obviously like just crazy, but I still remember that moment where I was like, yeah, I don't know, something just switched, and so I quit playing soccer and a couple other things that I was doing at the time, and then I just kind of went all in. I just skated as much as I could, and had an indoor skate park at 19. Kind of went back to to like a city college in Holland, and then
Hmm.
on 9/11/2001, I watched the Twin Towers, fall to the floor, and then I just
Oh
was like,
yeah.
okay, this is like a wake up call. I'm gonna do something else. So I just started working at a bar. I started working on my own brand with like some shirts, and I was selling that to like the shops in Holland that
Uh
I
huh.
knew, some like the skate shops. And then eventually I became a rep, because the distributor in Holland for like Etnies also had a few shops. So I like knew him kind of sort of, and then I went there to sell my clothes, and I basically left with like a job offer. So
What?
went back to the bar, quit that job, and then yeah, I was a rep for like 5 years. Then Soul Technology, which is like the whole company name, as America Etnies,
Okay.
and so on. They started up a European office, so they took out the distributor and took me with them. So I basically
Wow.
worked there for a year. Didn't like it. Super corporate all of a sudden. Really weird, almost like not what I thought it would be. Went back to the distributor, and then I was like probably around 30. Broke up with my girlfriend at the time, and I was just like kind of searching, and I just like packed my bags up and moved out to California. So I
Dang.
moved here in December 2007.
Did you have any friends here, or were you
I had a
like,
lot of friends here, yeah,
got it?
through, through, through like the industry and like ASR shows, and
Oh, gotcha.
when you work for like a distributor, especially out there, I worked for like 30 companies. So I had friends in San Francisco and in Santa Barbara and down in San Diego and
Oh,
everywhere. So I kind of had a little bit of an in,
you
but
were networked.
the economy kind of crashed around that time too, right? Like late 2007, early 2008. So
Yeah, the
a
bubble.
lot of my
Yes.
friends either like lost their jobs or were just trying to like hold on to their job. So I couldn't find a job at the time. I was here for 3 months, went back for 3 months, worked for the distributor a little bit more, came back again, met my ex-wife. So I was able to stay. And then I kind of never left since, been here ever since. And then I got a job at S and America in, I think I started like June 2010. So I worked
Okay.
there for like a year and a half. And then the company was like shrinking at the time. So it was kind of like last one in, first one out, which was strange to me, but whatever. It kind of happened. Definitely a huge bummer though, because I always had this vision of coming from Holland and working as a rep and working my way up a little bit. That I had something that not everybody has, I guess. Not that I'm like super special, but I definitely went through like a few of like the ranks over time. But yeah, I was really bummed. But at the time, I started like the Instagram for America and for Etnies and for S, and that obviously like blew up around that time.
Right.
So I was afraid if I was going to work for like another company that I was being like the same boat again. So I started my own. It was like an agency, like a social media agency. So I just
Okay.
reached out to pros and brands, and that's what I kind of did for like 10 years straight. I worked with like all the top pros in skating and almost every brand. Then over
Wow.
time, I started working for like a few bands, and obviously like some brands in surf and snow, because friends worked other places, and so yeah, I kind of did that for 10 years, and then last October, I got a call from my boss now, and he's like, "Do you want to have a job here?" And I was like, "Nah, I've been there 3 times. I kind of did my time. I'm good."
Yeah, right.
And I called two of my friends. I'm like, "Oh, there's this job opening. It's like team manager stuff and someone like the marketing and all the social media." And then they both said to me like, on like their own call, but they're both that sounds like your job. And I was like, huh, like what are they seeing that I'm not seeing?
Right?
And then I talked to my wife, and I don't know, I was kind of at a point too where after like 10 years I was trying to help like action sports get better with Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, but I kind of lost the support of those brand of those really um, of those companies. So then I was like, why am I trying to help Instagram and Facebook like link up to like all these like action sports pros and brands? And then I was like, why am I doing this for? Like I always just wanted
Right.
to like help people, but then I felt like I didn't get that support
Support
that I got
back.
in the beginning when I went up to Facebook and to YouTube, and I got all these people that were like, "Oh, this is so cool that you do that in like action sports," because it's always so hard, I guess, to like crack this egg for non-action sports people or whatever. And so these companies, I was like, "Oh, cool! Like I can be like an agent kind of in the middle. I can help these
Right.
people." And so,
Bridge
which,
the gap.
which is what I did for like 10 years. I helped people who got hacked or needed their name changed or like the verification. So I was able to do all that, which was like super cool. And like it's a
Dang.
trip that I was able to do that. But then yeah, when I got this call and then when I really thought about it, I was like, actually put my name in the hat. Let's see where this goes. And obviously my MTB, I've been on a bike for like the last 5 years. That obviously helped because Etnies has this line of MTB shoes, and then it
Yeah.
all kind of worked out. My
And
history in
then
skate, my history with the company, and then the MTB
right.
stuff. So definitely helped
And
me get back in the door. So
the relationship with your current boss who thought of you and called you to see if you'd want to come back in. He knew this position was going to be for you, probably had eyes on what you were doing currently as well.
yeah.
Let's go back when you were back overseas and you started this like little skate brand and you were trying to sell it out of the shops. What was that brand called?
Worldwide.
Wait, worldwide.
Yeah.
And
Worldwide.
how far did you take it before you decided like to take the rep job?
So I think I was around for like maybe 2 years, 3 years. And then as soon as I like took the job of like the rep, like my boss at the time was like, you can still like do it, or we can do it together. Like I can like
Oh
buy
dang.
into it and we can do more.
That's
But at the
awesome.
time I decided, and it's funny now that I like kind of like say that out loud, like I kind of had the same idea last year when I got this job offer for like Etnies. So like I can still do it on the side, and then I was like, no, I'm just gonna go all in and what I think, what I
Yeah.
think I want to do, and I'm just gonna take this turn and go all in. And that's what I did also at that time, because I remember I had a few kids on the float were like, oh, is there a way I can like get onto the brand and some clothes? I'm like, that was then. I'm doing this now. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
just focused.
Yeah, sometimes it's easier to focus on the one thing, especially when it's a great opportunity just to see where it might go, so you're
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
split everywhere and conflicts of interest and all these other things that may pop up.
And that as well. Yeah, yeah. You're
Yeah,
so right to keep doing it.
that's cool. And then so you ended up coming over. But speaking of people or overseas, Octodad Marty Richards, he is over there in New Zealand. He says, "What Etnies shoes are good for skate and MTB?" Oh, Marty, just wait. We're gonna pop up some that are gonna be good for both and made completely different, at least looking different. There's actually an MTB line with Etnies, which is awesome. And of course, you know that there's the MTB line for skate. Also, we got Miami in the house with Mountain Bike Q&A. He says, "What's up?" He just made it. Man, it's like 10:21 over there. What's up to Johnny and to Lauren out there in Miami? Thank you for popping on. I saw Brett Hall when we talked about you opening up a clothing line. Here's a buddy of mine, Brett Hall. He owns Unspoken. You know Brett.
Yep.
He had a tent right next to you. Says, "What's up, guys?" He's in the house tonight too. So man, you got a packed house of folks to support you and listen to your story. So you ended up coming over here. Emerica let you go. You were devastated. First one, last one on, first one off the team. And then you go out and you create this social media kind of company. What did you call that? What was the name of that?
So that's funny. So I should have prepped a little better, but with the thank you economy, and that's actually funny because I know like with Tony came to my office once and I was like, this is the book you have to read. It's a thank you economy.
Uh-huh.
And I got that tip from a friend and I just read it in like one sip. And then anyway, he was saying like start your own blog with your own name, like start your own company with your own name. So I was very hesitant to like do that because I kind of want to be like in the background more than I want to put myself out there like that. But it
Uh-huh.
was just called like FVS Media. So
Sweet.
my own initials.
Oh,
So
sweet.
yeah.
I love that you did that, and, like, during the time it was booming, so you were helping athletes of these action sports get more noticed, get more recognition through social media, and you must have learned a ton about the algorithms and how they changed and what people love, and over the years of doing that, what are some of the biggest tips? Tony says, "Great book, by the way." What are some of the greatest tips that you saw in the social media that can help social media people today?
Um well like so the way I would like approach brands and like pros at the time is I can like sync up all of like your names, right? So like with Tony, it's like the outsider on like all channels. So I would do that with like brands and pros. So then you would just whatever your like .com is, that would be like your name up on Instagram. So we have like @etnies on YouTube, @etnies up on Instagram. We also have an @etnies bike, but that's for like obviously like that side of things. But I would just do that first. So I would like clean everything up. So I think that's that's like a key one, because you want to,
Mm.
like sometimes when I talk to people, I'm like, oh, like I have like this username up on Instagram and like this on Twitter, and like YouTube is, let me think. And I'm like, if you don't know, then, other people are
They're gonna have
not
a
going to
hard
like
time.
know that
Right.
either, I think that's
Right?
like a key one, where you want
That's
all of like your names to be the same across all of like the platforms.
that seems so easy when you say it, and then you look back. I'm thinking back on mine, like, mine should all be the segment PR. I think they are, but now I gotta go back and look. But it makes sense, right? If they
Yeah,
can't find it, that's the first step to get you
yeah,
there.
yeah,
So, okay, so uniformity on the handles.
yeah. And then another one, I think, like you got to tell like your story. And I think especially nowadays, like the last couple of years with the algorithm coming into play, and I think people just try to like post because they think they have to post, or they post because it's Monday at 9 a.m. And like,
Yes.
don't fall into those traps. Just tell your stories. And obviously everything is about the video, right? Everything is about reels right now up on Instagram. And so
Yeah.
people kind of get stuck on that. And I even see that now, that I'm like, on like the other side again, right? With like a brand. I was like, oh, we need to do this, or we need to do this, or that did really well. Like, how can we copy that? And it's like, try to like lose that. Just, if you want to post a photo because it's like a cool photo, or just do that, like tell your story. Like, it's literally like a catalog of what you are as a brand. So like post stills if that works. And so I think that's another key one, where don't let the likes guide you, 'cause it's
Mm,
just
don't
it's just crack, it's literally crack.
yeah. Don't
So
follow the masses and do yeah. I think I hear what you're saying. Like when you say tell your story, it's just basically meaning be genuine. Like what is it that you want to do and put out there, and don't follow, yeah, like the influences of the masses, what they're thinking, they're saying, you know.
yeah,
What's what's the big I think there's a philosopher that says, I'm not who you think I am who you think you think I am.
yeah.
So it's not
The
even like
perception of
realistic to
people, right? Like, it's the
right.
perception of people. I think that's the key part too. But again, like, you can you can control that so not completely, but you can control that to like a certain degree, right? You can steer it in a certain direction.
Yeah.
So,
Man, it's a battle. It feels like it's always a battle when you see like some people like taking off, and then for whatever reason, then you're like crashing down and you don't get any views. It's like such a weird place to be, but I like that. Just be yourself, be you, and it'll all work out the way it's supposed to. Tony was saying a few things here. He says, Fred and I used to nerd out about this stuff. Sounds like you guys had some meetings about this. And then ultimately quality, not quantity. Yeah, that makes sense, man. What
yeah.
you said there. Charlie Hicks is in the house. He says, "What's up, guys? How y'all doing? We are doing good, Charlie. Good to see you. Good to see you." Marty saying, "Be authentic." Yeah, when it comes to this stuff. What do you think is like the rise or the fall for a lot of these people that are out there trying to strive to grow their YouTube, their Insta, their TikTok? Are they kind of spread too thin when they're trying to do different platforms based on your opinion on this stuff? Or is it better to just
Yeah.
hold on to
um,
one?
I mean, it's obviously tough to do it all, especially these days, right? And it's like 16 by 9 videos up on like YouTube, and then there's obviously like all the vertical stuff for like YouTube Shorts and like TikTok and like Instagram, and it kind of can work everywhere, but you got to just pick like two or three and just be really good at that, or even one for that matter, instead of trying to do it all, because it's impossible, right? I even see that with us when we have like really good content, or we have a clip from like a skater, or from one of our MTB riders. It's just like, you just can't, I don't know, it's just too much, it's too much. So just take one or two or three platforms and just rule those, and you can be everywhere.
Right. And just be it's always good to grow, but I mean, a little or a lot is always good, right? As long as you're not going down and you're being authentic to what it is that you're trying to put out there. From somebody in your position, now that you're there as the marketing manager for Etnies, what is it that you're looking for or your team is looking for when you're looking at onboarding somebody for flow or somebody for sponsorship or maybe even to join the team?
Well, I guess like skills is obviously like the first one that comes to mind, right? But as you know as well, and I think this is both in skate and in MTB the case, it's like so many people and so many kids, right, are so good, so that almost doesn't do it anymore. Like, when you go to like the skate park, like every kid just jumping down and doing kickflips down the stairs and
Right.
handrails, and so that's not that special anymore, almost in a way,
It's crazy.
and then like the other part is just like style and flow, right? If some kids just have it, some kids just have it, and it's like effortless, and the style, and like, I don't know, the way they wear their shoes, or like put a sticker on the helmet on a certain way, or I don't know, just sometimes
Yeah.
like with skate stuff especially, we have a like a team manager who's also still on like the pro team, that is Aiden Campbell. So he kind of handles that part a lot with like all the skaters. But obviously we come across people almost daily, almost obviously on Instagram, or people that like send us like a sponsor me tape, and
Mhm.
it's usually in like the first 10, 20, 30 seconds you can already see it, and obviously sometimes kids aren't there yet. You can say that to them, or go like, you're on like a good path, but you're just not on the level yet for flow. And I think the other part too is like the introduction, like if we have a rep or like one of our team riders and go like, oh, I saw this kid or this girl I just met at the skate park, or like that I think has a huge weight on it as well, right? If people just tell me like,
Sure.
I highly recommend,
Yeah,
or
from
I just
within the
went to a
team.
shop and like that kid, and I just met this kid and he's really cool, really humble, like I think that also has a lot of weight. So it's like the intro. But again, at the end of the day, it's obviously skills. And I think too, what I've been thinking about a lot too lately is like where somebody is like going, right? Because we can give
Mm,
a pair of shoes to somebody in once or twice. So like that's part of our job, right? To get shoes on feet of people. But if there's a kid who's like at the same kind of level when he's like 21 versus when he was like 16, like, and does he want to become pro, or maybe he has other interests obviously coming in. And so I think there's a time there where it's like, sure, we can give you a few more pairs of shoes, but we really want to try to focus on these other people that are really coming up, and I really want to try to go somewhere, and like, like,
yeah, makes
so
sense. It makes sense. Exactly what MTB Raging is talking about right here. I'm thinking of a kid named Owen Honeycutt, who's a mountain biker kid. I think you may have seen him at Sky Park throwing big whips and getting all crazy out there. But let's see, Craig says, I think of Owen Honeycutt and MTB along the same thing, rips, but such a great kid and can roll some styly swag. Love the little Grammy for sure. And what's cool about Owen Honeycutt, Brett Hall says, that's my boy. Yeah, he rides for Unspoken Clothing. Owen has this style and swag where he can talk to little kids, kids his age, and he can talk to us adults, and just has this comforting way that he can just communicate. And it's like, man, wish I had that when I was his age, man. I'd probably be leaps and bounds ahead of where I am today. Just that skill set alone to communicate with people, you know?
yeah. And I think for us, like older guys, whatever, I think that also helps, right? When it's because a kid's a kid, and that's cool. But if somebody kind of has, they just stand out, right? People that have gone far is usually because of that. They have just something, and the way they carry themselves. And like I said, it could just be the way they like pull up their socks or not. Or I don't know. They just have something that I don't have. You know what I mean? Like I'm not claiming at all. And it's sometimes even harsh when we talk about that, like internally, like the way we go over our list. It's like yes, no, yes, yes. It's crazy in a way, right? Because we're talking about like people, but at the same time too, we can't give shoes to everybody, and we want to highlight the ones, because again, if you give shoes to like a certain individual that like stands out, goes so much further than just giving a bunch of shoes to a bunch of people, which sometimes isn't always bad. I'm not saying that, but it's like, again, like some of these people will just like really bring themselves, and then obviously the brands that they have, to like
Yeah.
another level. And I think that's really what it's about.
Yeah, no, totally. Skills, charisma, where they're heading to in the future, the things that they may be able to have impact on people, eyes that are going to be on them, all that stuff goes into play. If you had an infinite amount of swag, that would be different. But when you have an X amount that you're only allowed to give, and you are running a business that you're trying to get out to more people because the product is good, you have to be selective with who's going to be influencing and repping the brand. You want a good taste in people's mouths when they see these folks out there for sure.
Yeah. And obviously too, like the other thing obviously that I want to bring up is obviously like the Instagram stuff, right? It definitely it helps. It's not the end all be all, but if somebody has a good amount of followers and it's like 10K plus and you see some of our people or shops that they follow or like that, or the other way around, like that definitely helps. So you just want to check it because I always ask my friends too, or like one of our reps, like, oh, we just got a sponsor tape from like this kid. It's like, oh yeah, he writes for this shop, and like that. Obviously, again, that goes a long way. So I wouldn't,
Yeah,
I would lie if I say that doesn't matter. And obviously, if we want to post something or we have a new shoe and we ask like the whole crew to like do a post, and like there's two people that don't want to post it for whatever reason, that sometimes doesn't help. But sometimes people just run it differently. So that's fine too. It's not the end all be all, but it's definitely obviously, the world that we live in, it's obviously helpful if everybody is on the same page and supports the brand
totally.
that way.
Yeah, totally. And that's the cool thing about today is like everybody has a cell phone in their pocket, and most everybody has Instagram or TikTok downloaded as one of the apps on one of those phones in every single pocket that's
Yeah.
running around out there, which is crazy. Had we had that when we were kids, Fred, that would have been insane to be able to have that kind of, influence and awareness of what's happening in and around you. Although sometimes too what we see isn't the most truthful of things. You could doctor a lot of stuff up, but man, what do we even have anything back when we were skating, Fred? There was nothing back in the so you and I are about the same age.
That's the videos, I think. I'm 44, 1987. So
Yeah, yeah. So I'm 48, so I'm right there. And then yeah, I had it was VHS sponsor me tapes. That's what we used to put together. And it was all like record, pause, play, and like to go from your camcorder to the VHS recorder to make those tapes. Remember
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah,
And the tricks back then were, I mean, everything has progressed so much, and we are going to get into the shoes and show you guys how the shoes have progressed as well from back then into today. But my God, back then it was like if I could do a front foot impossible, back foot impossible, kick flip, heel flip, melancholy, I was pretty dialed in. And nowadays I'm watching these things where they're doing all these crazy like late flip, shove it thingy jiggers. Hard flip is kind of like where it lost me. And then now it's like hard flip to late heel flip. Like what is
it's
that?
cool to see though. I mean, obviously where it has gone and where it's going, and it's still going. It's like it doesn't stop, which is amazing. But I mean, we're at a point now when it's like how many stairs or how big of a handrail or how
I
tech of a
know.
trick you can do. But I was just last weekend up at Street League out in Vegas, and it's like Chris Joslin and like Gustavo Ribeiro, and it's just like insane, like on like
Dang,
how consistent and like how crazy tech and consistent these guys are. It's like mind blowing. Still, like
dang.
I'm still such a fan. But it's insane.
It's awesome. It's not like one big trick and they're done. Like they didn't try it 35 times and stick one. Like they're sticking everything,
Yeah.
which is insane. And that's a great segue into Semenuk because wasn't he the first one on Rampage that went single instead of a dual crown on Rampage? And isn't he?
I believe so. I actually just watched his like SRAM. It's like a documentary that they did about him riding
Yes,
last year and seeing how
yes.
how it was built and how he did his course with his two friends, and that was super cool. But yeah, I believe he's the first one, but don't quote me on it.
I think we're right though. Yeah. Don't quote us, but we think we're right, and that means something to someone. Just
Yeah,
don't ask our wives, but it did open up a lot more tricks for him. He was able to do more things. Outsiders saying 1 3 times. Golly, my goodness. Yeah, that dude. So talk about progression, and it's going to be crazy to see what happens at this upcoming rampage coming up. Dylan Stark, our guy over there at YT, got the invitation, so I'm really really interested to see how he performs.
yeah, so sick that he's in the mix too. So
I know he definitely has that skate style swag. When he approaches, when you see his video, it looks like you could interchange his bike for a skateboard, and like everything would still fit.
yeah,
He's
100%.
he's
I
pretty he's pretty dope. But let's get into Fred. Let's get into some of these shoes, shall we? From
Yeah,
Etnies. And if you wouldn't mind just running them through here. Oh, Trail Pimp is saying, I have the Etnies Summit Pro, good for riding and fine dining. Oh, you can shred on the trails and then go have a nice dinner. Love it. Love it. Craig is saying, Trail Pimp, I like your fine dining style. No kidding, right? We could
No,
all be like a steakhouse and look down at each other's shoes and give each other the nod from across the room, like, I see you, bro. I see you.
it's funny because the shoes clean off well, and then obviously like the sole, especially with like his shoe, is not like super stiff, so it definitely works like on and off the bike, and that's something that I know he also wanted, and it works for like BMX too, so it's kind of like that crossover shoe, and then obviously that look of it, with the chuck
Yeah.
kind of look. So I have a lot of friends that wear that shoe on and off the bike. So it's not my style of shoe, to be honest, but that's fine. I mean, we have a lot of different shoes. So but yeah, that shoe definitely does well for us. It's one of our top top, top shoes in like the MTB line. So a lot of people love it. So it's great to hear.
Joey, bring up the Seminic Pro so we could take a look at it. And while we go into those, when Joey brings those up, did I was thinking back on what you said the story when Etnies decided to go into MTB. Was it because somebody there was a mountain biker, or were they seeing a lot of athletes going in and out of mountain biking? How did that whole influence become?
So with Tony, he was obviously there, I think, during those years. But from what I've heard, is that Semenuk was on another shoe brand. I believe he was on Nike before, and that ended in like 2011, 2012. And then he found one of our skate shoes, which is the Jameson Mid, which
Okay,
now we have a Jameson Mid Crank, which is basically that's the first shoe that we launched for like MTB. So Brandon found a BMX skate shoe that he liked, and then so his shoe is based off that. But we started
interesting.
with the Jameson Mid Crank basically per for him, and then we obviously like changed out like the outsole like a little bit, and the shoe just a little bit, make it a little bit more like thicker,
Wow.
and so
There's
um,
that full on street style, that skate style waffle pattern on the bottom. I love that.
yeah, yeah,
That's cool. So Semenuk, so if we see Semenuk on the trails, we can say thank you. He kind of helped birth the MTB shoe there with Etnies. And then of course it went into all these, we're looking at right now the Semenuk Pros, and they come in a multitude of colors, but these are the ones they don't have Michelin soles because he has that cool like BMX style. And of course we've all seen him ride, but he has that very flexible sole on there. Look at that. Outsiders saying, Semenuk love the BMX team and follows skating. Love the Etnies brand. He also says he's a rad BMX rider too and skates as well. Oh my God, no way. I didn't know that.
yeah.
Semenuk is a skater. So skaters
You
are,
can do it all. Obviously, if you're like that good on the bike, it's no surprising that you can rip on everything else too. But yeah.
that's a, so I'm thinking about how many of us, and you and I were actually emailing back and forth about this, but there is a relationship between skateboarding and mountain biking. And there's quite a few people that do both, or if they've done one, they accelerate at the other one when they start. Why do you what do you think the relationship is there?
I think it's like the flow of like MTB, right? There's something about when you're a kid, or when you skate down the sidewalk and you just have that, it's hard to describe if you've never been on like a skateboard, I think, but like or like a snowboard or like a surfboard. It's just like there's something, if you've never been into the ocean and been on a surfboard, or never been onto the mountain and rode on like powder, like there's something
Yeah.
about it. It's just hard to describe. But like I think it just clicks for certain people. It definitely clicked for me, and I know it did for you as well, right? And so
Yeah.
'cause I have some friends that sometimes go like, "Oh, does that looks so sick? Can I come along with you?" But it's like a little bit harder than with like a skateboard, because you got to get them a bike, they need a helmet,
Gotta get them
obviously
up the hill.
shorts, shoes. It's a little bit more, but I think like if you get people on the trails and they see and feel that flow of like it'll click, for
Yeah.
most, I think. So
Yeah. Dude, there's definitely something to that because I had, I grew up skateboarding a lot like you did, but I hadn't really mountain biked. And then when I started mountain biking when the pandemic started, the first time I rode down a trail, just a regular old dirt, gravel, or dirt road, It was something about, like, those first couple of pedals and then just that coasting, and then, like, my eyes are starting to see landscape differently. Like, when you're a skateboarder, for those of you who skateboard or just know transitions well, when you walk down a street, you're already looking at things completely different than most people. You're looking at the ledges, you're looking at stairs, you're looking at the handrails, you're looking at transitions that are like, dude, I bet I could ride that, you know? And people are like, what are you looking at? It's hard to explain because you see things so differently.
Yeah.
And that all came back to me because there was this big gap of college and then working world and then starting a family. And then I got on the bike and all that stuff came back like whoosh, there it was. And I was just like, this is the best. Like the whole pumping and dropping and being weightless in the air, man. I love it.
And I think too, like as you get older, I think it's like a little bit. It's easier to be on a bike, and even if you fall on the bike, right, it's still a little bit easier. It's still dirt sometimes, or like a bush, or hopefully it's not a rock or a tree, but obviously that is possible. But I think it's a
Yes.
little bit as we get older, like skating's hard, for most of us at least. So
Yes.
it's like when you're on a bike, it just you can get air pretty easily, and you can get that feeling without too much hassle. And I think too, like when you climb up, I think like the workout as we got older, right? Like in our 30s and like plus, it's like you just want to work out a little bit more to kind of, get your head clear, and it's still like a workout, and feels good. And yeah.
Yeah, it does. It's so good. And then too, as a skater, it always be stressful because you're like, all right, we can hit this spot, but probably only for like 20 minutes because someone's gonna kick us out or they're gonna roll by and they're gonna ticket us or something weird's gonna happen. But on a bike, you just go climb, go play, with your buddies. It's so good. And I'm
Yeah.
always late coming home. Sorry, honey. Always late coming home. It's so good. When you so you were like mountain biking and then skateboarding kind of came second, but you were young when you started both of these. Are you still doing both? Obviously, you're doing mountain biking now, but are you still skating a bit?
A little bit. I actually skated today and I skated yesterday, which that doesn't happen a whole lot, but it was more for like some stuff would work. But so I've been on the bike since I was 3, but I didn't pick up an MTB probably like 5 years ago, a little bit before the pandemic. Like
Okay.
I was working with like Elliot Sloan, and he was on a mountain bike a bunch with like Cab, and I always saw them. And again, like kind of like the same way as like now some of my friends in skate go like, oh, that looks so fun. So when I moved on to Oceanside, which is probably like 5, 6 years ago, I bought a bike off Craigslist with like the cages on it, like just
Oh
super.
no,
It was
it's
like
super
400
also.
bucks, and I was like,
Oh,
sure, I'll get
hold
it.
on, clips.
Because that's the other part too, with like with a skateboard, it's not cheap, but it's doable. With a bike, like obviously nowadays, especially if you want to get a good one, it's like 2, 3, 4 grand.
Whew.
It's like entry level. So I wasn't there yet. I was like, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna find something. And then he took me to Calavera down in
Uh-huh.
Carlsbad,
Uh-huh.
and we just went up, and we just went straight down this pretty steep trail, like pretty skinny too, and like these drops on the side. And I was like in the cages on the climb, in the cages going down. Then I stopped literally like 20 seconds in. I was like, I'm gonna die. Like, and then I like flipped the cages, but then I would like scrape the rocks because I literally
Right.
didn't know
Too
what
low
to
to
do.
the
He just
ground.
went and he's like, come follow me. I think it was just me and him. So, but still, obviously, too. Then we did a couple other climbs and a couple other rides, and I was like, man, this is really fun. So I got rid of that bike pretty quick after that. Thank God. But
Probably those
and then
cages went quick.
I like slowly upgraded the bikes over the years. I think as most of us do. I didn't have like the whole budget to go like here's 3 grand, or I just wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I've been on a bike for like I think 5 years or so. So, but
That's
definitely now I got like 2 bikes in the garage, and like the whole thing. So
And what bikes are you currently on?
so I got a YT Jeff C.
Woo!
Um, I don't know the year. I'm not sure if I keep track of that as much. Maybe 2018 or something.
Uh-huh.
And
Jeff's
then
is
I got
all
a
all mountain killer.
yeah, yeah, 100%. I like love that bike really got me into it. So before that, I was on a Trek Rumblefish 2012, and then so I went from a 2012 to a 2018 or 19. I mean, that difference alone, obviously, and then everything worked and everything was smooth because the bike was new as well. The other one I also got used. Um, but yeah, and then I got a YT Decoy
Ooh.
MX like 3, 4 months ago. So yeah,
Ooh.
I have a good selection in the garage. I'm not complaining. Super thankful. So
Yes, man. That is like I feel like that's exactly the combination I have right now too. I've got the Jeffsy and I've got the decoy, and it's like the best of both worlds, right? You have the all trail killer bike with the Jeffsy, and then you basically have a capper with a motor with that
yeah,
decoy. You just like bomb everything. MT Rage is saying decoy. He's also saying Trail Pimp loving the Izzo. Just picked up one last night and did a shakedown ride tonight. Pretty damn versatile. Oh, the Izzo's getting some love. Brett Hall is saying best two bikes right there, the Jeff C and the Decoy.
it's
Yeah,
funny though because now I went to Snow Summit couple weeks ago. Last time I think 6 weeks ago or
there's a
something.
capper in your future.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking because it's a 29, so I believe the forks is 150, and it's fine. I'm not doing like crazy big jumps, but at the same time too, it feels like it's like definitely getting to the bottom of it a little bit too much.
Yeah,
So, but maybe next year let's
get a few
let's
more months
save
underneath
some
your.
money and then we'll get to like the next step. So, but yeah, with the decoy, which is actually out of their like out of like the demo fleet. So I got a good deal
Yeah.
on it. I had a
Oh yeah.
900 miles in it, I believe, and I'm already at like 1200, like 5 6 months later. So I definitely put
So
some miles in it.
good.
And yeah, I absolutely love that thing. It just, I mean, I think as all of us do with the e-bike thing, right? Like I don't want it, I don't need it.
Ooh.
I'm gonna get one when I'm older.
Yeah.
And then my bike broke down and my shock blew up on the right egg rear. And then like it took Fox like because it was super busy, right? I'm sure it still is. It took him like 8 weeks to like fix it. And so as I was waiting, I was hitting
Good
up
grief.
Jeff a lot up at YT, and he's like, "I'll just bring a bike home for you, like every time, like every weekend, just pick one." And then like Andrew, Donovan, they all got a decoy, and I was like, "I'll take a decoy, Jeff. I'll take a decoy." And then he's like, first ride's free. And then after like 5 weeks or something, he's like, I have this one. You can keep it for a few weeks. And I was like, what's the catch? He's like, no catch. And I'm like, I'm going on a trip next week. He's like, just keep it for a couple weeks. See how you
Muhaha.
like it. And I was like, I know exactly where this is going, and I'm not mad at it, because by then I
Yeah.
was on it like 5 weeks in a row. And then this one was a MX, which was definitely the one that I liked
Ooh,
more
yeah.
than the other one. I don't know. And it
Yeah.
just kind of all worked out. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Like, thank you very
Yes.
much. He definitely helps
I
helped out
think I think Joey has a video of you dropping into sloppy seconds on the Insta. Let's see. You got some nice airtime, smooth transition, and you definitely have that skate style. That I see him popping it up right now. He's gonna bring this up for the folks out there to see, but this is gonna be Fred out there at San Clemente doing it. So as he's pulling that up, I do want to say Mike Savicki says it's not a crime to e-bike. It's definitely not a crime to e-bike. All right, going into it. Here we go. This sloppy set. Look at that.
Yeah, sloppy seconds.
Oh
Yeah, it's one of my
yeah.
favorite girls out there.
That one's so good. That's just right after the jump line, right? Coming in and
Yeah,
then
that's right after the road. Yeah,
yeah. You got those 2 down drops. That one and then the one right by the poles there. Oh, Joey has you hitting the berm
yeah,
here maybe.
sloppy.
Oh, there we
That's
go.
one of my favorite trails out there.
Yes.
No, and also with the e-bike thing, like I'm 44. I'm not worried about if people don't like it or people think it's whack or like. I remember at Greer one time I rode up on my Jeffsy, and this is when I was riding that one every week, and I was like little like less weight than I'm now, and I was just like strong. And plus those trails go up a lot. Like it's not as steep, right? Because it's like
Right.
back and
Yeah.
forth. And this guy was behind me, and I was like, "Excuse me, coming through," because the trails are obviously
Pretty
are kind of
narrow.
skinny. And he's like, "If you're on an e-bike, I'm not letting you by." And I was like, "Man, like."
Oh no. At Greer?
Because I don't know, but as far as like the image or whatever, I could care less if people think it's whack or like if you go
Yeah.
on one, you'll know, right? Because I've seen my friends too, like we'll go to YT, we'll get you
Yes.
one for like a few hours, and everybody goes like, "Wow, this is now I get it." Like, so
Yes.
I really don't care if people think it's whack or
Yeah.
everybody's gonna be on one in the next couple of years. Like,
Dude, they are
so
so fun. I was like, no e-bikes, no e-bikes. I'm on the Jeff C and I love it. And then I got to YT. Joey here, our podcast engineer, got me over to YT. Steve Caballero got me there. They got me a decoy. Jeff Taylor came out and said, "Hey, just sit on this bike right here." I'm like, "Ah, okay." So I sat on it. He's like, puts it in boost. He's like, "Yeah, just go ahead and pedal around the parking lot." And like literally the first 15 seconds, it's like when you guys spot somebody who would be good for the brand. As soon as I ran that bike and turned a couple corners, I was like, I get it. I totally get it. I could be home on time. I can get twice the miles. I can
Yeah.
I can get twice the reps on a trail and really learn every corner and every nook and cranny. I could just get more for the same amount of time. This would be a great tool to add to the Jeffsy. This would
Yeah.
be awesome. Like it just and then I ate my words because I'd see people out on the trail. They're like, I thought you were not an e-bike guy. I'm like, I eat my words. E-bikes are rad. They're
Yeah.
so
I
fun.
think we all go through that exact same thing, right? We don't want it, we don't
Yes.
need it, and then once you have it, you go like, yeah, twice the miles, twice of all the elevation, and then like
Yes.
twice like all the downtime, and I think that's what really is getting me really stoked on it, like, so.
Yes. Joey and I did a video comparison where we took the Jeffsies out for an hour at Vale Lake. You know how they have like 25 miles of trails. We set a
Yeah.
course, wore a heart rate monitor, started Strava, started a timer, bang, took off like bats out of hell. When the hour turned up, when the alarm went off, we stopped the Strava, stopped the heart rate monitor, counted the calories, counted the elevation, counted the active movement time, counted everything, the miles, the speed, and then came back to the truck, rested, fueled up, waited about an hour, then got on the decoys, set out for the same exact course, same hour, same heart rate monitor, same, entered a new Strava. We finished that course in, I think it was 15 minutes. That took us an hour on the analog bike. So we continued to do the course again. And then we just kind of played around. At that point, we're like, let's just finish the whole hour. We need to measure our calorie burn and active movement, speed and elevation. When we came back, everything was twice as much speed, twice as much elevation. The active time, because we didn't have to get to the top and rest, we can
Yeah.
get to the top and drop right in. Our active time was double. And this is the killer because I thought the calorie count was going to be a huge difference between the two bikes. The calorie count was bigger on the e-bike. It beat it by like 150 calories. They were both 1,000-calorie rides, but the e-bike there was just no idle time. We were just constantly moving. And then especially uphill, we were finding like jumps and, new lines. We were breaking into corners, climbing. It was insane. It was awesome.
Yeah, I always remember this with like Cap. I've not been on a whole lot of rides with him, but every time when I see him, we obviously always come back to like the bikes, and he was like, it's also heavier, so it's like easier to jump. Obviously from him coming out of moto, I think that helps. I must say though, when I was at Sky Park a couple weeks ago, I did like the first weekend I was there, I did it on the Jeffsy, and then the second time on the e-bike, and there the trails are not so steep, so that's when you have a few of the jumps where it's not as smooth because the trails are not that steep. So that's when you really feel that weight a lot more coming in. But up at San Clemente or something, it's like I almost feel no difference, to
Yeah.
ride it.
Isn't it true? People were like, sorry, go ahead, Joey. Joey had pop something up there. He says, decoy on the weekends, Jeff C during the week. Yeah, he's got the good mix going on right there. Craig is saying, that's right, brother. That's a recipe faux show. Trail Pimp saying, dude, e-bikes are sick. San Clemente Dog Park is so fun with an e-bike. Totally. You get to the bottom of Air Blair biting my tongue. Oh man, Air Blair. He's one of the coaches of the Laguna Beach mountain bike team and a good friend of ours here at the segment, but he doesn't yet have an e-bike. But we loaned him one. He was stoked on it, and then things come up, and he had to bail out of it. But he just picked up an S Works. It's going to be a game changer. He just got an E. He's got to build it out. But boy, oh boy, I cannot wait for him to experience the e-bike smiles for miles.
Welcome to the club.
Yes, exactly. Welcome to the club. Oh my gosh, dude, I can't believe we're almost up to an hour.
Well, that's crazy.
Let's get into the shoes, shall we? Let's show the folks out there some of the mountain bike shoes that you can get from Etnies. And I can definitely tell you the culverts are dope because that's what I'm on right now. But let's see, where do you want to start, Fred? Where should we start here? There's a plethora.
I'll just start at the top.
Okay.
Semenuk, Emil Johansson. So that white one on like the top row,
Hmm.
that is the Emil Johansson Fall 22 colorway of that Jameson Mid Crank, which again was one of our
Ooh.
first shoes. And you can obviously see how much the Semenuk Pro looks like that shoe, right? It's
Yeah.
very similar. So the main difference is that the outsole on this shoe has like a line in it. I
Okay.
should have taken some shoes home from the office the other day. I don't. I only have my own shoes here on the floor, but it has like a line on like the outsole. So if you go to photo number 3, where you
Okay.
see the outsole, you see like a little line that goes around like the outsole. You might probably have to like click on it to see it.
Yeah.
See a
What
little
is
better.
that? What is that line? Oh, okay.
So that line right there, yeah.
Is that
And with
for
the
footwear?
Semenuk,
Uh-huh.
that one goes all the way to the end with like the waffle pattern. So that's like the main difference. And some people like this one better. He wanted to have that line not in his outsole because he feels like it could get stuck in like a pin and put his foot like a little bit crooked. So
Oh,
that's why his shoe. But again, the shoe's
interesting.
pretty similar, as you can see. So this is definitely one of our first ones.
Interesting. Wow.
It's a basic shoe. Again, came out of skate and like BMX, and so we have this shoe in line for like a long time. We also have a low version available. That's more like a lifestyle shoe, but yeah.
So are these soles, do they have like any anti-weeping technology in there, like a shank in there to give you some support on the pedals or for heavy landings?
So not those. So all the shoes with the Michelin do though. So Camber Crank, Culvert Mid, Camber Pro, they all have a shank in it, a full shank.
Got it. Okay, gotcha. That's probably why when I jumped off my Aftons, and I jumped onto the Etnies, there was definitely that support. When you're older, you wake up in the morning, you're like, "My feet hurt."
Yeah.
You don't have those when you
So
had
this outsole, this is actually good that we're also bringing this up. So I should repeat or I should like fix that a little bit. So this outsole has a 3/4 shank.
Okay.
As you can see, this outsole has a little bit more room in like the gaps. So
Yes.
this has a 3/4 outsole. So this is like the perfect shoe to like dig. If like that's kind of like how I describe the shoe because it has like a lot more flex in like the toe because the shank doesn't go all the way.
Got it.
And then this outsole is really, really good. This is our newest outsole with like Michelin, where Camber Crank, Culvert, Mid all have in like older model. Like I have
Uh-huh.
one, I have my own one right here, but we can obviously pull it up too. But this is the Culvert Mid with the strap. But that one has like the full shank in it. But that rubber, it's funny because with Tony, he had offered me shoes before, so I was on gyro riddance before, like which is kind of like a similar look as like the Culvert kind of, a little bit of that skate look from like the 90s, and that had Vibram on the outsole, and I actually really liked that shoe, but I was not. I'm like a lot of shoes out there, especially in bike, and especially I think if you come out of skate, a lot of them just look too bulky and too ugly, for my
Yeah.
opinion.
Right.
And so when I saw the shoes, I'm like, oh, they look good, but I have shoes that work, right? I think as we all go through that as well in the beginning, you just have a pair of running shoes and a pair of skate shoes, and they all kind of work, but not really, right? And so
Right.
I had a really hard time to like step into MTB shoes because of that look. And it sounds so stupid when I say that in a way, right? But it's like that skate look is like, you know. So I actually got a pair of these as my first pair. So I
Those are
ran
those are dope.
3 of these colors since like last year, kind of before I had my interview. So probably since like September. And I instantly had it. Like it's a little stiff at first. Like the first ride is definitely stiff with this shoe. But I mean, the grip on this is just next level with the Michelin.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, those are the ones that you flowed me there at Sky Park, and, I was so grateful because I would have been in those, Nike shoes for the day,
yeah.
I can't believe, but yeah, that was one thing I noticed right away was the grip on it and then the support, and, it felt amazing. We had a question up here, and I think you answered it. Marty Richards was asking, "What's a good shoe for walking on trails, digging, and riding flat pedals?" What would
Camera
you
Pro is like that shoe kind of. But I mean,
Yeah.
with the Seminuk and the Jameson mid crank, they both have a pretty flexible sole, so that's definitely a shoe you can wear on and off the bike. Um, but the other point too, with the Michelin outsoles, so the Camera Pro is this like new one with like a 3/4 shank, so that definitely has a lot of flex to the toe. But I wear, like I said, I have one other colorway I've been riding for a couple months as well. But
Oh
I have
yeah,
this
those
one, and I wear
Culvert
this at the
mids.
booth. Like I will work 2 days at a booth, and I just wear this. I don't really ride because I don't have time to ride, you know, during those events. But I ride this, and they're definitely stiffer. They're definitely not super flex, but I have no problem to walk on them. I think out of the box it's a little tougher, but after like a few rides, so I can really wear them out too if I want to. Like if it rains, I sometimes put those on because the material
Nice.
is water resistant. So it's like,
Yeah.
but
I was like I was bummed at first because the culverts that you flowed to me, I busted my suspension, the seal on my coil shock in the back, and it leaked oil all over my shoes, and I was like, oh no. And I thought it was like gonna be done for, but I just wiped them off and they were gone. I'm like, hey, these shoes are resistant. That's pretty dope.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, and again, like also with like this shoe, so I wear low tops always, skating, walking, on the bike obviously too. And then I worked at one of my first events at Sky Park, and I had a couple of people come up to the table and go like, "Oh, what are these shoes? How are these shoes?" And I was like, I honestly have no idea because I got this shoe and I really like this shoe, which was like the low version of that,
Uh-huh.
and I just like stuck with it. But I was like, I almost have to force myself so I can tell people like I like this, I don't like this. Right? 'Cause people, like I think if you're being honest about it, that's fine. Like I don't like all of our shoes and I don't like all of our colors, but and I can tell that. I have no problem to like share that. So that's when I put on these mitts, and they actually match the decoy frame color that I have too. So it's kind of right.
Yeah.
But then I put these on, then they have the strap, and this is literally the best shoe I've ever ridden on like a bike, and it's also the top selling shoe for us this year so far. So a lot of my friends
Really?
have gotten the shoe too, and everybody seems to really like the shoe. So I
The
can
col
highly recommend this one, even though like again like low tops forever, but that's just something about the strap, and I don't know, it's like
Yeah.
super comfy. And then like the inside too is like this like 3M stuff, so it's like super soft around the ankle. Because that's I guess what I have with like mid tops or like high tops. It's just stuff around the ankle. It's just annoying. It just bugs me because it's just stuff.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
actually has a function because it's really soft, and then when you put the strap around it, your whole foot is just like in there, and I
Just
don't know.
hugs
I just really
hugs
like
it. Man, yeah, that's cool. Does it feel like when you pull that strap over, does your ankle, because from the skate days, my ankles are, if I take a hit and my foot kinda like collapses like this or shifts off to the side, like I'll be feeling it for a couple days. Does that strap kinda like buckle down the ankle a little bit?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've experienced that per se. I definitely want to say too, though, it definitely does get a little bit warm, right? Because of the material, it's like pretty
Mhm.
thick. But again, I ride usually like 6 a.m. to like 9 a.m., so it doesn't really get too hot then either. So I haven't really experienced that, or my feet are super sweaty or something. I don't really have that. But again, if you ride obviously in the middle of summer at Greer when it's like 105, I'm sure it'll be pretty hot. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't recommend that to anybody. But
Yeah, but more, a little more support probably with that strap, being able to pull that over and like really taking all that material and just kind of hugging the mid part of your ankle there, which would
yeah,
be awesome.
yeah.
Oh, Nick's on. What's up, Nick? 123 says badass shoes. Nick's out of the Redlands area. He is riding up that way all the time. It's good to see you, brother. Trail Pimp is saying the Summonic is good for working from home too if you have a standing desk. Yeah, so comfortable. Um, MTB Raging says, "Oh, Fred's a stormtrooper decoy ripper. Got it. Yeah, yep. Actually, when
That
I
is
saw
a
you,
colorway.
right?
Yeah.
When I saw you at Bike Fest, you had loaned somebody your decoy for a couple runs, and I forget who it was, but they were so stoked. Do you remember who that was at
Yeah,
Sky
that was
Park?
my friend Mark Hibden, who was the Zoic art director, I believe is
That's
his
right.
title. So he's one
That's
of my good
right.
friends. Yeah.
Yes,
He'd
that's
never been
right.
on one, which I was surprised because I just wanted to give it to him because I know he wanted to like sh- shoot some photos or something, and I was like, sure, take the e-bike, it's way easier. And then he just actually like went just for like a ride, and he's like, oh my god, I'm like, told you,
That
so
look on his face, because I was there at the end of the day when he was like, "Thanks for letting me take this," and he was just staring at it, and it's that look, and I'm like, "Dude, I know that look. I know that look." Fred got another one. Yeah,
yeah.
it's awesome. Any other shoes that you wanted to share, or anything about Etnies before we land the plane, so to speak?
So we have a clipless shoe as well since the beginning of this year, which is the Culvert CL. May want to pull that up real quick.
And that's
It's the
new
Camber
for
CL. Sorry, I even get confused with our own names too sometimes.
which one is it, Fred?
It's the Camber CL. CL
Camber.
obviously stands for clipless
There
in
we
this case.
go.
So it's basically a Camber Pro, but then with a clipless sole. So they have a, and it's
Oh,
also a 3/4 shank. So that toe area that actually
uh-huh.
like bends pretty well. So it's and with this shoe it's a little bit harder obviously, but it's also a shoe that you can wear off the bike. It's obviously harder with clips, to walk on whatever, but it definitely has that flex in the toe as well with this shoe.
Oh, look at that. They've got the little, boot there to keep the sand out.
Yeah, and that's the same. So this is basically a Camber Pro with a strap.
Got it.
So
Okay.
they both have like a similar look to it and a similar upper.
That's
So
cool. Yeah, for all you folks that are writing clipless, Etnies now offers clipless for you guys. And then I actually jumped on the website today, and just for trading in my email and signing up, there was like a 20% offer. I don't know if it does that for anybody who for their first time, but man, that was a pretty significant discount on there. If you guys haven't tried Etnies and you want to, that did pop up today, so that's cool. Any promos or anything going on here in the near future that people could be looking for if they're looking at getting into some Etnies shoes or buying some for a gift?
I will get a code. I still have to do that. I actually didn't I like skip that option mark. I'm sorry, but I will get a
Oh,
code set up.
oh,
Uh,
sweet. For the
uh,
followers, hey guys, you heard it here
what's
on
the
the
code mark that we should do? It will start on what's today? So it will start Friday, October 14th. It will start. But
okay. Let's do a
what's a good
code.
code mark? What should we do?
The segment
The
and then
segment PR
whatever
or the segment 20, the segment 40?
whatever number you want to put behind it. But yeah, the segment and then a number behind it. I'll make sure to get it out to the followers. And if you guys are listening to this on iTunes or Spotify, this will go on Friday, October the 14th, which is like tomorrow. And we'll run this for a while. Trail Pimp is saying sick. I know, right? This is great. This is
The segment 40 will be the code starting
segment.
Friday
Holy cow. Segment 40. Okay, guys. Dang, we're going up there. Segment 40. How long can we run it for?
for the end of the year.
Let's go. Let's go, baby.
I
Senders,
gotta, I gotta send an email.
we
Sorry,
just
I
got
couldn't
this.
space on that. I
Uh,
have a whole bunch of other codes in my head, but I just kind of want to make sure it's like linked to
that's
like
awesome. Fred, thank you on behalf of to all of us out here that are possibly getting some shoes for the holidays or needing shoes. Segment 40 will go live on Friday, or check it soon.
Yeah, and I
That
think too, like, and again, like I was there too, right? I was offered shoes before, and we're also like stuck in our ways, right? I think we definitely have a look down, like if you come out of skate or if you like that look, I think our shoes look better than most. But again, we've been making shoes for 36 years, so even though we don't come out of bike, we definitely know what we're doing. And because of Brandon, like he came to us, like we didn't have this in our plans to do a shoe for MTB for that matter. But again, he came to us, and then that kind of started. And he's been almost on the team on our program for like 10 years now. So it's like that's kind of
man.
his idea. And like he was like, you guys already have something going. It just needs a little bit of tweaking. And now with like all the Michelin too, it's like, I mean, I'm obviously biased because I work for the brand, but I highly recommend if you want to try out a shoe, and if they don't work, or if you don't like them, or even if you want to ask me a couple other questions, like hit me up on Instagram, or like I'm down to like talk you through it. Again, I've written not even all of our shoes yet, because I just like what I've tried, and I've obviously had some of them on my feet, but
Yeah.
like
Those
they
culvert
work,
mids. Those culvert mids are looking dope. I think I'm gonna have to use that code myself
Yeah,
and get me some of those culvert mids.
yeah.
Dude, Fred, that is awesome, man. I can't believe that the time just flew by. But if you wouldn't mind telling people, where could they find you? Where could they find Etnies? Where can people continue this journey of learning and trying on these shoes and learning more about you?
So with Etnies, it's etnies.com. If you want to specifically look at our bike shoes, it's etnies.com/MTB. That's like a quick link. It's not like the actual link, but it's like a little trick. It's easier as well to keep in your head. etnies.com/MTB. Etnies Bike is the account that we use up on Instagram for our MTB and BMX line, and to see all of like the riders.
That's a sick
And
page. That's a sick
then
page. I love it.
yeah, and then I use my own name up on Instagram, so that's kind of what I started with earlier, right? It's like I have like the same name across the board. So Twitter, Instagram, it's at Fred van Schie, and it's spelled like you see on the screen, FredVanSchie. So yeah, hit me up with any questions or any issues, or I'm always down to hear all of like the feedback, right? Because again, like we all our feet are like different, and we all like certain things more than others, and I'm all for it. I'd love to hear how people like it or what they don't like it. I talk to our shoe designer Rick almost every day, and he works on skate and on lifestyle and on MTV. And so
Wow.
I'm always like, Rick, like here's some feedback of this or here's some feedback of that. And I think it's good. And we obviously work with all of like our writers and get their feedback. They often put the shoes obviously to like a harder test than you and I kind of do. So I always love
Yeah.
to hear how people like us just like it, and if they like the laces or if they don't like this or that, or they have ideas for, you know let me know, hit me up anytime.
Love it. Love it. Folks, this has been a great episode. Hope you guys learned something new. Hope you guys are eyeing some Etnies. 40% off right there. Thank you so much to Etnies. Thank you so much to Fred for that opportunity. And follow Fred, follow Etnies MTB or Etnies Bike on Instagram. Who's running that, by the way? They are so responsive. They're pretty awesome.
John Pova, he's a
John.
legend in the BMX game. He's English, but he's been out here for a long time, so he's been our BMX team manager for 20 years or so. So yeah,
Dang.
he's doing like a really good job. I know too, because I always see him like there's like a shop that asked about Etnies, or yeah, he's super on top of it. Yeah, so if you have any other questions too, like hit him up too, like on the Etnies Bike Instagram. Yeah, because he is super responsive too. So
That is cool. That is awesome. And again, the code for this, guys, is going to be the segment 40 when this goes. Thank you all for being on. I really appreciate it. God, my goodness, the time just went by fast. Fred, thank you so much for jumping on. I'd love to
thanks so
have
much,
you
Mark.
back.
Really
Is there
appreciate it.
is there anything that you can leak that might be coming down the line, or are we pretty tight ships over there?
Sure. Like we have for Holiday 22, which is in the next probably like end of October, mid November. We got two vegan shoes coming out. So there's a Seminuk in like this camel brown color, like a really dope color too. But it's a vegan shoe, and then there's a Camber Crank, all vegan. We've been making vegan shoes for a really long time, and it's a really big thing in skate, especially even more I think the last couple of years. So that's coming. There's an Emil Johansson. It's kind of like a mid high top in like an
Ooh,
all black and like a white, which looks really good. And it's also kind of like a shoe that works on the bike and off the bike, kind of like a little bit streetwear kind of inspired.
dang.
Um,
This is all behind the scenes, guys. This is
yeah,
coming.
and that shoe is coming for spring 23. So that's like February, March 2023. That when that shoe's coming out. So that one's looking really good.
Dang.
Um, On that, like I said, we're just trying to not go like too crazy and too wild. We've done definitely some shoes at the moment now that are getting a little bit maybe too tech, where we definitely over time we're going to go back to a little bit more of like the skate look with the basic colors, and then just really good outsoles. We are working on like an other outsole as well, but that's probably not for like, that's probably like end of 24, maybe early 25. So we work
Wow.
2 years ahead. So right now we just started working on fall 2024,
Oh
like all
my
the
gosh.
colors and
Wow.
then we'll hope to announce a new team writer, and that's, I haven't told that to anybody, but that's coming beginning 2023. We'll hopefully have a new MTB team writer
That is
announcement
aw
too. So
that
you're
is
you're the
awesome.
first one to hear that. I have a call. What's the day? Wednesday, Thursday,
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah.
I have a call next Wednesday about it, so we'll see where that goes. So
Is it a name that's floating around that we may have heard or seen of? I'm sure.
I don't want to give away. I don't know anything.
I
It's like
was
that's
starting
like
to
so early. But again, what I was more sort of trying to go at is what, we have like these like pro shoes and these team shoes, but we're always trying to work on, like expanding it as well, where we know what we kind of, it will be good to have like a third person on the team as well, just get us out there a little more.
Ooh,
So
I love it. I love it. Building out the team, investing into the mountain bike side. Guys, there's so much that's going to be coming. Check out for those new items that are dropping in late holiday 2022. And then there's one sick one coming around the corner in 23 in the spring. So, gosh, without that being said, hope you guys set those dreams, dream big, set those goals, achieve them. And man, before you know it, you'll be living the life that you want. Until then, you guys, Fred and I will see you guys out on the trail. Thank you so much, everybody.
thank you, Mark. Thanks,
You.
everybody.
Oh, yeah.